Он затушил его.
Russian investigative outlet The Insider spoke with numerous volunteers supplying troops with equipment and donations and discovered an eye-opening situation. In recent months, the volunteer movement has plunged into crisis, with rising signs of fatigue and frustration. A significant share of supplies for the Russian army, from uniforms to thermal imagers and drones, has come from volunteers since the start of the full-scale invasion. One of them, Natalia from the Bryansk region, says that people used to donate an average of 500 to 1,000 rubles. Now she must seek funding from businesses and the government, but gets no response. Another volunteer from Belgorod, Ruslan, said he quit the movement, noting that more and more people have no motivation to support the army. He also adds, "I judge even by my own circle. In February 2022, everyone told their loved ones, it will be over in a week. Now, parents tell those same children, if you see our soldiers, cross to the other side of the street." Elena from the Kursk region. "Donations are scarce. People are tired. At first, we thought it would end quickly, and more people donated. Now there's no end in sight, and few are willing to help." Lera, Belgorod Oblast. Of course, war leaves no one unchanged. I remember what happened after the Chechen wars, how many people were scarred after Afghanistan. I was once traveling with a security officer and he said, "I've been in many wars, but the worst is in Ukraine." I would like to add few remarks. Both the Russian and Ukrainian armies depend on fundraising to supply units with drones and other equipment, and the exhaustion of volunteer forces can have tangible consequences, as neither state is capable to replace them at the moment. More importantly, this is not the first sign of fatigue in Russia. Reports of social burnout are growing louder, alongside voices from Z-bloggers increasingly admitting that the war has reached a dead end and shyly suggest to look for alternative options. It would be premature to assume that Russian society is on the verge of collapse, but it is clear that the population is not prepared for many more years of war without a visible path to victory, a point often raised against Ukraine but rarely applied to Russia itself. Ukrainian aviation carried out precise strikes against Russian positions in the Sumy direction, targeting concentrations of troops and equipment. These attacks come as part of Kyiv's effort to disrupt Russian offensive preparations and weaken their ability to push deeper into Ukrainian territory. Strikes in this sector are strategically important, as Sumy borders Russia and remains one of the vulnerable front lines where Moscow seeks to pressure Ukraine. By hitting Russian forces here, Ukraine not only blunts immediate threats, but also demonstrates that its air force continues to play a vital role in shaping the battlefield balance. Some Russians decided to blow up a watermelon with a firecracker on the hood of a Lada car. They filmed the results. They should stick to doing just that.
Здесь у нас арбуз очень сочный. У нас вот здесь патрон такой. Сейчас посмотрим, что из этого получится.
Готовы? Он затушил его.
August 24th, in occupied Donetsk, locals in the Kievsky district are asking Governor Pushilin why there's still no emergency declared, especially with heating season ahead. They've been without water for a month, while an ice rink is about to open at the Donetsk City Mall. Good questions, but you will not get answers. That's what you get when living under your beloved Putin. You become a slave and wait for the winter, it will not get better.
Ответственных лиц за водоснабжение в республике.
U.S. and Russian government officials discussed several energy deals on the sidelines of negotiations this month that sought to achieve peace in Ukraine, reported Reuters. The officials discussed the possibility of ExxonMobil re-entering Russia's Sakhalin-1 oil and gas project. Russia purchasing U.S. equipment for its LNG projects, such as Arctic LNG 2, which is under Western sanctions. Another idea was for the U.S. to purchase nuclear-powered icebreaker vessels from Russia. In just a few days, Ukraine's Spalak UAV unit, together with Curtin Company and the 3rd Reconnaissance Battalion, 28th Brigade, destroyed around 10 pieces of Russian equipment, including 6 artillery guns, 2 tanks, and multiple vehicles. Curtin Company is a combat group within the 28th Brigade, created and led by a commander known as Kurt, who began his military career as a scout in 2014 before becoming a sniper and later forming his own company. The unit has been active in some of the most difficult battles, including the fight against Wagner forces near Bakhmut, the liberation of Kherson, and defensive operations around Kurdyumivka. Kurt has openly said that while the Ukrainian army has advanced in experience and technology, it still carries many outdated Soviet-style training methods that do not match the realities of modern warfare. The 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade itself has deep roots, formed out of a Soviet division, but restructured into a Ukrainian unit after independence, and later named the Knights of the First Winter Campaign. Sappers from the Tsunami Regiment of the Liut Assault Brigade broke into Toretsk with armored support and destroyed an old swimming pool building that Russian forces were using as a potential strongpoint. The battle for Toretsk has become one of the bloodiest and most exhausting engagements for Russian forces in the whole war. Ukrainian defense is deliberately designed to bleed the enemy dry, forcing Moscow to pour wave after wave of troops and armored vehicles into a fight that brings little territorial gain but massive casualties. Russian units have been trying to press into the town and its surrounding settlements, but the density of Ukrainian fire, combined with smart use of drones and prepared fortifications, has inflicted devastating losses. Reports from the area suggest that dozens of pieces of Russian equipment have been destroyed, with entire assault groups wiped out before they could even enter Ukrainian positions. The fight has reached a stage where Russia is losing manpower and armor at a pace it cannot easily replace, and commanders are pushing poorly trained reserves into the front line simply to keep the offensive alive. Amid this brutal fighting, Ukraine has been using its specialized formations to disrupt Russian advances and deny them the ability to consolidate any foothold. One of the most notable recent actions came from the sappers of the Tsunami Regiment of the Liut Assault Brigade, who entered Toretsk with armored support and destroyed an old swimming pool complex that Russian forces had intended to convert into a fortified strongpoint. The operation not only prevented the Russians from gaining a new defensive hub inside the town, but also demonstrated how Ukrainian assault brigades can execute precise, small-scale missions with strategic effect. By eliminating potential enemy staging points, Ukraine ensures that every attempt to move deeper into Toretsk costs Russia dearly. The Liut Assault Brigade, which includes police and volunteer veterans, has been heavily involved in these urban battles, combining infantry assaults with engineering and demolition tasks to strip Russia of fortified positions before they can be used. Their actions complement the broader strategy of attrition around Toretsk. Ukraine does not need to counterattack with large armored formations, but instead relies on constant pressure, precision strikes, and the exhaustion of Russian reserves. For Moscow, the battle has turned into a grinding trap. Every meter gained comes at disproportionate cost, while Ukrainian forces retain the initiative by choosing where and when to strike. The situation around Toretsk underscores how Ukraine is reshaping the dynamics of the war. Instead of fighting for territory alone, it is forcing Russia into a battle of resources and stamina.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
gets 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.